Story 1. I am a software developer, so I spend over 8 hours a day looking at a screen. I started experiencing severe tiredness and depression, which lasted for a couple of years. No matter how much sleep I got, it didn't help. I became irritable and eventually started having headaches. I thought it was sinus headaches because they felt similar. Then I began having severe migraines. I went to the doctor, and everything came back normal. Eventually, I discovered that it could be eye strain. I started resting my eyes every 30 minutes, focusing on something about 20 feet away. When using my phone, I make sure to hold it at a reasonable distance. A few days later, all of my symptoms disappeared. Story 2. Understanding that collaborating with someone more knowledgeable than you is a privilege and an opportunity to learn and refine your own skills, not a threat. Story 3. When my child comes home from school, I put my phone in a drawer and do not touch it again until he is asleep in bed. Story 4. Moving out of my hometown transformed my life. I never felt that where I was from was truly home. I was never comfortable. I kept facing challenges as I tried to improve myself. However, once I left, my entire life trajectory changed for the better. Story 5. In my early 20s, I learned it was okay to say, "I don't know," instead of pretending to understand what someone was discussing. People are eager to share their knowledge. This simple practice has contributed significantly to my professional and social growth. Story 6. It sounds cliché, but diet and exercise are important. They don't have to be extreme. Just eat more fruits and vegetables. Story 7. Laser eye surgery changed my life. I had -7.5 and -7.25 vision and couldn't read my phone screen from more than 3 inches away. Now I can wake up and see the time on my alarm clock. The turning point for me was when I placed my glasses on the bathroom counter and couldn't find them. I was looking just 2 inches from the countertop and still couldn't locate them. This happened a few weeks after I had knocked them off my nightstand and under my bed. Story 8. Buying a dishwasher. I don't know a single person who enjoys doing dishes, but I had no idea how much I would enjoy having one. It takes about 5 minutes of my time to load it, and then it does the dishes for me while I watch TV or play games. Story 9. Paying attention to my diet and eating healthy, working out regularly, and stretching have greatly improved my physical and mental health. I didn't realize how poorly I felt until I reflected on my previous habits of overeating and inactivity. Story 10. For better quality sleep, I recommend magnesium glycinate. I previously used magnesium citrate without realizing there are different types of magnesium, and it upset my stomach. Now my sleep feels more restful, and my mood improves throughout the day. Story 11. Exercise. I used to think it was vain to exercise all the time. Now I get cranky and depressed if I don't. I dislike trying to fit it into my day, but I always feel better once I've done it. It gives me energy, I spend time outside, and it keeps my body in much better shape than sitting on the couch ever did. I now also consider how I will feel and move when I am 60 and older. I want to be mobile and strong for as long as possible. Story 12. Getting diagnosed and treated with medication is essential for some individuals. Sometimes you cannot simply pull yourself up into a happy, productive person. Story 13. Quitting drinking has been life-changing for me. I lost 50 pounds, my skin cleared up, and I look younger. It's likely because my body is functioning as it should. Eating healthier has also contributed to this positive change. I am 33 years old. I will celebrate 1 year of sobriety on May 14th. I am still figuring out how to make new friends whose lives do not revolve around drinking. It can be lonely, but it's still better than the despair of alcoholism. Story 14. I stopped being scared of failing at my hobbies or finding the learning process too difficult. I just say, forget it, and jump in. It's art at the end of the day, so however it turns out is how it turns out. I dreamed for years of experimenting with making music, but I was always intimidated by expensive setups and a tedious learning process. About a year ago, I slowly started teaching myself modular synthesis, and when I create, I feel so free and happy. Story 15. I got into mushroom cultivation. These oyster and champignon mushrooms really make me a lot happier about life in general. Story 16. Walking every day improves sleep, enhances mood, and increases energy, even during long work hours and nights. Story 17. Taking vitamins. I take an iron, magnesium, and multivitamin supplement every night. I now sleep through the night, wake up earlier, and rarely need a nap during the day, which is wonderful for me given my chronic illnesses. Story 18. Everyone is talking about diets, sleep, and health, while I was just thinking about converting YouTube videos to MP3. I stand by my statement. Story 19. Subcontracting, as opposed to working full-time, allows me to earn 3 times more money. I can also spend more time at home doing things and enjoy far more freedom. Story 20. Divorce. My ex was a significant drain on my life. I experienced gastrointestinal issues, skin problems, anxiety, and depression. Although it didn't change overnight, my situation has steadily improved since I left him. I was overfunctioning, prioritizing his needs over my own, and even faced a cancer scare that led to emergency surgery, which served as the wake-up call I needed to leave. He cheated repeatedly, belittled me, and was controlling. Learning to love myself enough to leave has made every moment of my life more worthwhile. Story 21. Antidepressants. I thought I was just lazy and perpetually exhausted. I stopped listening to people in my circle who said it was normal, given my circumstances, to feel this way and spoke to my doctor. I wish I had done this a decade ago. I feel so much better now. Story 22. I didn't delete my accounts, but I removed social media apps from my phone and started to ignore most political news. I'm much happier and more productive. Story 23. Volunteering allows you to meet people who share your interests and values, contribute to the community, enhance your self-esteem, and learn new skills at no cost. There are no drawbacks to volunteering. Everyone should consider it, especially if they are feeling bored, lonely, or facing existential concerns. Story 24. Taking antidepressants. I thought my suicidal thoughts were just a fact of life. However, I just needed a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Story 25. Getting on ADHD medication has helped me focus and accomplish tasks much more easily. It has calmed most of my racing thoughts, although anxiety is still present. Overall, it has significantly improved my quality of life. Story 26. 3 significant changes for me. 1. I stopped consuming alcohol completely. I began running 5 kilometers and trail running. I removed toxic individuals from my life, including those who were only friends when they needed something from me. It took about 3 years, and I am now on a much better path. It requires effort and discipline, but in the long term, it has been beneficial. Story 27. Learning how to cook like a chef has been a valuable experience. I attended a community college culinary program, and it was hands down the best investment of my time. While I don't intend to work in restaurants, the ability to think and cook like a chef has been a highly beneficial skill. Story 28. Quitting marijuana made me okay with being mediocre and not taking much action. It became a constant chase for one high after another. I also realized the effect it had on my mood, energy levels, and sleep. I have noticed a significant difference since I stopped using it. The drawbacks may seem small, but that is the troubling part. Because they are so minor, you don't consider them much. However, over time, it accumulates and leads to considerable damage without you realizing it. I still smoke occasionally, but making it an everyday habit is not an option for me at this point. Story 29. I am over 65 years old and started hormone replacement therapy in March. I haven't felt this good in years. I am finally removing those 2 bullying siblings from my life. I should have done it back in 1993. It's never too late to protect your peace. Story 30. Getting a stable job and marrying is important. I explored the entertainment industry for a decade, but the only audience I needed was my wife. Story 31. Lexapro provided the boost I needed to attend therapy, start exercising, move away from temporary distractions, and find balance in my life. Although I eventually stopped using it, I wouldn't have had the stability it offered to help me return to normal. Story 32. I bought an automatic nasal rinser. I was afraid of using one for the longest time because anything related to mucus makes me nauseous. I didn't want to get trapped in a cycle of seeing or feeling mucus, feeling sick, and then having to choose between the sickness coming out of my nose or swallowing mucus. However, I found a machine that doesn't make the solution come out of your mouth, and it's powered, making it easier for the solution to flow through your nasal cavity. After rinsing, the solution goes into a separate section of the machine, which you can easily empty. I purchased it over a year ago, and while it could just be a coincidence, I haven't been sick since I got it. Story 33. Mood stabilizers provided almost immediate relief from my major depression due to my undiagnosed bipolar II disorder. Life has improved significantly. Story 34. It took me a long time to learn that I was once desperate for validation when I was younger, but now I don't care as much about it. You learn so much by listening to people, either in direct conversation or by letting conversations wash around you. I practice this often at work, and people tend to see me as a nice and thoughtful person simply because I take the time to listen to what they have to say. It makes people feel valued, and in turn, they value you back. Story 35. Starting a band completely changed my life in all the best ways. One of the most significant changes is that I now have a group of friends whom I see at least once a week. Story 36. Investing in good quality sheets and pillows enhances sleep quality, helping me feel revitalized. Story 37. I started changing jobs every 2 to 3 years instead of staying where I was for a while, thinking I would be rewarded for my loyalty. Companies may have rewarded loyalty in the past. However, most do not anymore. Story 38. This is really specific, but may help someone because it's been life-changing for me. I have Sjogren's syndrome since early childhood. It's an autoimmune disease that causes my tear and salivary glands to atrophy, among other things. I also have scleroderma, which causes soft tissue to harden. Together, these conditions made my eyes so dry that I had corneal damage. For over a decade, I wore punctal plugs and tear duct implants to try and occlude the lower ducts, which act as drains, in an effort to keep artificial tears in my eyes. Unfortunately, they never worked for me since they were not custom-made and didn't quite fit my eyes. I had many pairs. They would fall out, poke my eyeballs, and even caused bleeding once. I never reaped the benefits touted by doctors, manufacturers, and some patients. It got to a point where it took me 30 minutes every morning just flooding my eyes with drops before I could fully open them and try to acclimate to the light. The pain was constant and impacted my quality of life tremendously. Even after that whole morning routine, I'd still be applying drops all day, and at night I used ointment and sleep masks, again to no avail. I was miserable while dealing with all the other symptoms of my conditions as well. Then I saw a corneal specialist for the first time, and she told me there was hope. She suggested I get my lower tear ducts surgically closed via cauterization. Unlike plugs, this procedure would fully occlude the ducts, keeping in even the negligible amount of tears I did have, as well as allowing artificial tears to remain much longer in my eyes, providing substantial relief. The procedure was painless due to numbing drops and took only a few minutes. The results were immediate. My eyes improved so much afterward. It was night and day, and they have remained that way years later. I barely ever need drops now, and I can wear eye makeup again. I would never have believed my eyes could improve. As many doctors I had seen over the years said it was futile given my conditions. Even if you suffer from severe dry eyes for reasons other than Sjogren's syndrome, this may benefit you, and your life could improve in a way you couldn't believe was possible. See a corneal specialist. I wish I had done so much sooner. I just didn't even know such a procedure existed. But now you do. Story 39. Expressing myself genuinely, no matter how much it may embarrass me, is important. People may think of you differently, but it is better that they know the real you. Story 40. A nice bed with pillows, a duvet cover, and sheets, along with different duvets for various seasons. We discarded everything and started anew. We sleep much better now. Story 41. Treating video games as a leisure hobby is important. I used to have a mindset that made me spend hundreds to thousands of hours on competitive games. I don't entirely regret it, but I wish I had engaged in other activities during that time. Story 42. Cutting my family out of my life has allowed me to be the happiest I have ever been. My spouse is very supportive in letting me pursue my own interests, and distancing myself from my judgmental family has had a positive impact on my well-being. Story 43. It is okay to be by yourself. You do not need to be around someone constantly. Be comfortable being alone. Story 44. Marrying my wife has been incredible. She is an amazing person. Her support has greatly helped me address my personal issues and improve my self-image, allowing me to lead a wholesome life. Additionally, moving overseas has been beneficial because I can now practice windsurfing, something I have always wanted to do. Although I initially wanted to surf, I am glad there are no waves here since windsurfing is much better. Story 45. Regular exercise, improving diet, and eliminating sugar have helped me lose 106 pounds. I now wear a smaller waist size in pants and a smaller shirt compared to 30 years ago in high school. Additionally, I am not trying to overextend myself at work. Focusing on what is required over the last 3 years has led to better reviews and reduced my stress. I prioritize my quality of life above all else. Story 46. I stopped drinking soda and started walking every day, aiming for at least 10,000 steps. I remind myself to be thankful and to understand that if it's meant to be, it will be. Story 47. Sleeping with my phone outside of my bedroom helps me sleep better. I now read books before bed instead of scrolling through content I forget immediately. Story 48. Stopping being a high achiever is perfectly fine. Doing good enough at work can alleviate stress. Stressing over projects that are not your idea is detrimental, especially when you see coworkers not putting in the same effort. This situation can negatively affect your health, particularly during group projects. Transitioning from exceptional to adequate in my yearly review has had no negative side effects and many positive impacts on my quality of life. Story 49. Online dating was not only fun and a real confidence boost, but I also met the woman I will likely spend the rest of my life with. Having her around makes me healthier and happier, and it gives me someone to share the bills with. Story 50. I bought some manga and figurines for my gaming room, and I feel like they add a positive atmosphere compared to plain walls. Story 51. I changed the light bulbs in my rental. Instead of a harsh, bright white light, I now enjoy a warm, inviting light when I come home. Story 52. Therapy. It turns out you are not supposed to feel anxious all the time. I still experience anxiety, and now I wonder how I actually earned my master's degree during that period. Story 53. I bought a 1994 MR2 GTS in 2019. Feels like I got a second wind in life. It is such a fun car. I go out in it and just enjoy life. Story 54. Playing Pokemon Go got me out of the house and walking around. It provided a community of people to talk to and share experiences with, along with events to attend. It also gave me tasks and goals for my future, offering me a reason to want to live. Story 55. I went no contact with my mother, and I discovered a new type of peace that I never knew existed. It took a long time and therapy to work through it. Story 56. Meeting the best friends I have now. I had given up on life before I met them, and I have a lot of repairs to make financially. I'm glad I know they are real because they didn't judge me for being at rock bottom. Story 57. I stopped valuing the opinions of people I wouldn't seek advice from. It's liberating and has reduced my daily anxiety by 90%. Story 58. I have a pet dog. I didn't realize how capable of love I was until I had this goofy ball of fluff in my life. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.